Good morning. The regular meeting of the Fulton County Board of Registration and Elections is beginning to start, and I just want to call the meeting to order and also give our rules. Citizens are allowed to voice requests, concerns, opinions during the communication and public response portion of the meeting of the Board of Registration and Elections. Before speaking, each participant must obtain a speaker's card from Ms. Mariska Bodison, and if you're here to speak, you should have already obtained that. And speakers will be granted up to 2 minutes each for a total of up to 60 minutes per meeting. The first item on our agenda is approval of the agenda, but I would like to make a change to our agenda today and see if there can be a motion to move number 5, review of the proposed canvassing policy, to number 3, and make number 3 approval of the minutes, number 4, and number 4 monthly operations report, number 5. And those are the changes that I am suggesting that we make this morning.
Madam Chair, I move the suggested amendments to the
Agenda.
Thank you.
Can I? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Ms. Crawford? Member Crawford? Aye. Okay, then we have a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. It's unanimous. Now we'll move to communications and public comment. And I have one card from Mr. Ralph O'Connor. Would you please approach the podium and give your comments, sir? Good morning. There's a request for you to begin again because I guess it wasn't recording correctly.
Should I start over?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
if you
sure.
wouldn't mind.
Good morning. My name is Ralph O'Connor. I've been a Georgia voter. Job teaching the course and answering all the questions we fired at her. As a result of this training, I signed up for the Deputy Registrar virtual training so I can help Fulton County register more eligible voters. I encourage others to do the same. At yesterday's hearing in Clarksville of the Georgia House Blue Ribbon Committee on Election Procedures, one of the speakers said we need to hand count ballots in voting locations on election night because not all counties are counting their ballots. I don't know how other counties do it, but Fulton County uses forms to make sure that the number of voters who check in on poll pads, the number of ballots printed at the ballot marking devices, and the number of ballots scanned at the voting location are the same. That information is recorded on the ballot recap sheet, which is signed by the poll manager and 2 assistant managers. In addition, on the scanner/ballot box recap form for each scanner, the poll manager and 2 assistants must verify that the ballot box is empty and the emergency ballot bin is empty at the opening of the polls and again at closing of the polls after all the ballots have been removed. If all counties follow this procedure, there's no need to hand count ballots. Thank you.
Thank you. Now moving to item number 3, review of the proposed canvassing policy. And I want to state that this has been, the canvassing policy was first presented by board member Heaton. It's been a bipartisan effort to be discussing this and trying to come up with a canvassing and a pre-certification policy for Fulton County. And so that's what we have before us today for the review of the proposed policy and to see whether or not this is a policy that we can vote on today to put into place. Is there any member who wants to speak to the canvassing policy?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I appreciate the amount of work that you and other members have put into this. It is bipartisan, and it's long overdue. Administrative question, do we have a copy of the most recent of what we're voting on today in here? I'm having a little bit of a hard time. Thank you.
Yes, sir. What do you got? No, it's not. She's wrong. Mariska's not the one that says that. Yeah. Member Heekin?
Thank you again, Madam Chair, and excuse for that. There is one thing that had enthusiastic bipartisan support, and I would, not to put words in the mouth of the department, also support for there would be this report that would be posted online. It's the Election Assistance Commission recommended recap of the election. And I was wondering is that in this? Is that in the document we've gotten today? Or
Director Williams?
Okay. So all of the items that is recommended by the commission, we actually do all those things. So I believe that the last time they spoke regarding this canvas policy, we were making sure we were following the election code that pertains to it. But anything that's on the elections commission that we have to review for election results, we do complete those
Sorry,
tasks.
I'm not sure what's going on there.
Okay, Member Crawford, you cannot hear?
I'm sorry, I hit the mute button. I apologize. I hit the mute button on you.
Oh, that's a,
Just say it again so she can.
Yes, so everything that the election commission has listed on the document that Mr. Heekin has forwarded, we actually complete all those tasks. We do everything that's required by code to certify to complete an election process. So there's nothing that's lacking from our procedures or canvas policy that would not be done for that list.
okay.
a question for
Well, when I worked on that, and our version, I believe, is more wordy than what you sent, and yours is more streamlined. And I believe that I like yours better because it's definitely more streamlined. So, Michael, thoughts?
I don't know that I have ever seen anything on the website that lays it out as the Election Assistance Commission format does. And I would like us to strongly consider receding to their format.
So again, anything that we post on our website is what is mandated by us by the Secretary of State. So we do exactly what the Secretary of State asks us to post on our website.
Right.
Madam Chair.
So, we're dealing with what the Election Commission and the Secretary of State wants. So, since we are in Georgia, I apologize. I would expect that we should probably stick with what the Georgia Secretary of State is requiring to be posted from them. Does that make sense? Sorry, my brain's not all here. Sorry about that, guys. But I think this is more succinct as to what was sent. The first thing that was sent, I think ours just has a lot more language in it saying the same thing. And it's just easier, since this isn't written in stone, it can always be adjusted because it's just a policy, a procedure, not a something that we would have to change and that would take an enormous amount of time. So we can always add to and take away from this form. But to get something in place for the November election, I would appreciate it if we could go with the Fulton County Board over and above what you have, what we have to get from the statement of votes cast, election night summary, and the voter participation reports, you can always get this. You just have to ask for it. And if you run into a problem, you have to say why, where the problem is, and what the discrepancy that you found. Because according to law, if I'm not mistaken, and Alex, please tell me if I'm wrong, that we don't have to go into the nitty gritty unless there's a discrepancy between in a precinct, between what is reported and what was voted on. Am I not correct?
Just a minute. She's asking about, did you understand her question?
Yes, and,
Okay.
and that is correct, Ms. Crawford. Based on the Supreme Court opinion, getting into these documents only required when a discrepancy is found. And that's pursuant to
So,
21.
Michael, unless you're married to the language, all the language in what we wrote, I went over this last night and went before my head got totally blown up. And it is basically the same thing, just not as wordy. Actually, it is the same thing, but not as wordy. It's a more sleek version of what we wrote. Do you agree, disagree, comments?
Well, member, Ms. Crawford, we're going to turn to, thank you for your input. Member Adams wants to make a comment.
Thank you. I want to ask about number 4 or number 5 on here. My whole thing is that we should start with the list of voters that vote per precinct and per vote method, as described in 183.1-12-.12F. And so my question is, when we meet at 3 on Friday, or whenever we meet on Friday, are we going to have that and the numbered list of voters because this is not clear to me. This says the statements of votes cast by precinct, and I have seen the statements of votes cast that tells you how many people voted, or, like each candidate and how many votes they got. That clearly doesn't tell us how many people voted.
It's turn to the next page. I believe it's item 3, and we typically have that on a laptop, but we're making sure that it's sortable. But that's, I believe, what you're.
Well, no,
asking.
I'm talking about the statement of votes cast per precinct. That is typically, when I've seen it, that's how many people voted for each candidate, not how many votes were cast.
Okay. And what are you saying you would like to see? That's make sure I understand.
Well, I'll give you an example. So, in every election, there are undervotes in every election. I mean, in the PCS runoff, we had 14 people that, for some reason, drove to a polling location to vote and didn't vote for anyone. But I want to just make clear that what we're talking about is receiving by Friday, which I know would be adjusted after 5 on Friday if there's any UCOB or uninsured ballots. That we're talking about the statement of votes cast per precinct, per vote method for each precinct. The total numbers, not, I could care less how many votes every candidate gets because that's not going to equal the same thing, correct?
Okay. Member, Director
Yes,
Williams.
so the statement of vote cast gives you the breakdown by precinct of how many people voted election day, advance voting, et cetera. If you look at number 3, we're also giving you the numbered list of voters, and it says number list of voters for absentee, advance voting in person, and election day on a laptop in Excel format, sortable by voter registration number, method of voting, and precinct. So you have both. It's a breakdown on the statement of vote cast, plus you have the actual list of voter names and what method they chose to vote, sorted by precinct and vote method.
And we will start with that.
Yes,
right?
that's going to be given to you on Friday, and then it's going to be given to you again if you were to request it for document review. So it is one of the initial things that you get on Friday.
Okay.
And so you know that on Friday it'll be available, but then it'll also be available by 9 on that Monday. The same.
Well, and if we meet at 3 or if we meet at 10, it's not going to be a complete list because you have
Right.
and Church Bell
Right.
have till 5 o'clock on
Right.
Friday.
And if a member wants to come in before, like let's say if you wanted to come in earlier, before 3, you could do that because it'll be available.
Okay. I still want to go on the record saying it's absolutely ridiculous for us to do this on a laptop when we could do it in a spreadsheet easier if we could get these electronically. It's very hard to sit and write with a pen and paper and write all these numbers down, especially when each precinct has, some have 1 precinct number and some have 5 or 6 precincts.
Thank you. Member Selby?
Yes.
You might need to move the microphone.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair. I just had one question. I may have mentioned it to council. In examining the policy, I was just curious in looking at the canvassing statute. There's a provision in 493 subsection F that seems to impose some duty with respect to instances where voting machines have been used. I just wanted to understand whether that needed to be factored into the policy. I don't fully understand that provision.
It is a bit convoluted based on my read. I'm not sure that it is, but if it's a document that Ms. Williams is familiar with, would you be able to shed some light?
I'm sorry, can you read what this says?
This is in 21-493 F, and it talks about where voting machines are used. They shall be read from the general return the identifying number or the designation of each voting machine used and the numbers registered on the protected counter of the device on each machine prior to opening and of the polls and immediately after the close of the polls, whereupon the assistant having charge of the records of the superintendent showing the number registered. This is within the statute. Does that document or that reading?
Thank you. Give me 1 second. Okay, so are you asking me if we're going to verbally, because am I supposed to read them out loud as you're asking me?
No, I was asking if you were familiar with a
My
document.
question was that the policy seems to cover the canvassing policy, and the canvassing statute seems to contemplate doing all of these things. I didn't know what item F was referring to and whether that needed to be included in the policy or not.
From how this reads, it says we have to make sure we have the number of ballots and the number of votes recorded for each candidate. So the documents that we are providing, the statements of vote cast, the election night summary report, and the numbered list, well, all those documents will give you exactly the breakdown of how votes were cast for each candidate, if that's what you're asking.
And the reference is 21-493. We don't have it just limited to one section. If you look under 4, we say it's governed by 21-493. Is your question whether some other language should be included?
Yeah, well, the language just simply says that when there are voting machines used, it looks like we're supposed to also examine other information, and I just didn't see that in the policy, that's all. I don't know what.
Sure.
So I want to answer your question. In that specific code, we would be looking at the scanner tapes, which I don't see on here because it would have all of that information. So I'd like to make an amendment that we add the scanner tapes to this list.
The scanner tapes? Okay.
And
As a
I'm
number 4? Because it's as a number 4 initially.
Yeah.
Right, so let me say that the statement of vote cast gives you a complete list of how the scanner tape reads.
But I think she's just saying as a number 4, just say, is it operationally, is it difficult for us to have the scanner tapes as number 4? On Friday.
We could give those on Friday.
Okay. And so that's what she's suggesting as an amendment to add that as number 4. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Member Heaton?
Thank you, Madam Chair. just a point of clarification to Director Williams. In the last pre-certification examination, we got something that was an Excel spreadsheet that had broken everything out by voting method, and it was not really, you couldn't sort by voter registration number or precinct, because but if we could make sure we get, in addition, that was very helpful for a purpose, but if we can make sure that we get the number list of voters where you can sort from voter number 1 to voter number 400,000
Right.
by different things.
So for the last election, Ms. Glenn was able to update the spreadsheet that is easier for you to sort. So there's a combined list of all the voters, but then she has separate tabs for absentee by mail, election day, and advanced voting.
As long as the massive spreadsheet doesn't, there was several lines, blank lines before you'd go advance in person and then absentee by mail. And so when you sorted it, it sorted blank lines, and it was, so if we could get, okay,
Right.
good.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that's how the report generates, but she was able to take out those blank lines.
Okay, thanks.
And they will, and that's what is, I think, indicated in number 3.
Yes,
We're trying to
that's
make
it.
sure that we can sort it, and the department will have more than one laptop, so that if there's someone who's, we can share it, or one can spend more time and one's not waiting for it. Yes, ma'am.
I would also like to ask if we can't get these documents, well, first let me back up. I'm assuming we're going to have a computer really for each of us with both of these, with the initial documents.
Yes, we can accommodate that, because we don't have all these other items.
Okay, well, then we
can
can-
accommodate that.
Okay. And then to follow up on that, if we can't get these electronically, the election code mentions several times the superintendent and their assistant. If we're going to have to do it on the laptops, I'd like to be able to request to bring in an assistant or two to be able to look at it.
Member Crawford, and then I'll speak as well.
I believe that we voted earlier, that we were not going to let any reports go out electronically, that it was all going to stay at the hub. So, I know Ms. Adams has been asking for this for a number of times, but I really think that we need to make sure that this is the final and true answer, that electronic reports are not going to leave the hub, and go to personal computers.
And I would say that it would not be, I would not be in favor of having members who are not board members coming in to look at during the canvassing policy and look at the election while we're canvassing. That's what I would not be in favor of either.
No, I thought Ms. Adams was asking whether she could bring assistants in, and I not that the documents be taken away, but I agree that it appears I'd be interested in council's advice, but it would be inappropriate to have other assistants here, sort of assisting board members.
Who are not board members.
I totally appreciate what you're saying and what Terry's saying. What I'm saying is if we can't sort it electronically, because and you'll see when you really go through this, each precinct, you have to get 1 to 6 numbers and add them together and compare them compare the lists to the numbered list of voters, which you have to do the same thing for. You have to get 4, 5, 6 different numbers and compare them. If we could get them electronically, it would be very easy to do this, to be able to sort it to see if all the numbers match or not.
So,
If we can't, the law says several times in canvassing that we can get the help of assistance.
And I think we can, but why not have someone who needs to assist you from the department we could probably do that. Not someone coming outside, but the department's already here. They're preparing the materials, and so if a member needs someone from the department to come to assist them, I would think that perhaps the director would be willing to do that.
Yes, so it is on a laptop, electronically provided to you. Everybody will have their own individual laptop. It will be sortable, and we will have staff here to assist you.
To be honest, I think that is not how it's laid out in the law, but if that's what we're gonna vote on or stay with, I can't change it.
Is there any other comments, or are we ready to vote on the policy with number 4 being added from Member Adams, that number 4 is also scanner tapes that will be here when we first begin our pre-certification review?
Madam Chair,
Member Heaton.
I'd like to revisit or continue our discussion earlier about the ballot canvas summary. The fact that the Secretary of State has mandated certain things be made available, I think this is a best practice if we have it nice and neat and crisp. So how many provisionals, how many checked in, what are the reasons that they were rejected and so forth. As an example, we pay our tax dollars to have the Election Assistance Commission. This was done in 2020. It wasn't done with any of the current administration's members. In fact, it has a majority of, I went to the trouble of looking, there was a majority of Democrat appointees that decided this at the time, not to bring in any partisanship for heaven's sakes. But I think this is something that when we first saw it, we all were excited about it, and we were excited about it for good reason. This is a best practice. It lets the citizens know, not us, but the citizens know, anybody that's got an internet, know exactly what happened in the election. And I would move that we insert that in there.
I wonder, can we agree to add that the board will continue to consider ways to improve the canvassing policy, including the language there, and include that will continue to consider and review and revisit our canvassing policy.
That depends on how many people agree with me up on the front table.
May I make a comment, please?
Yes.
To provide you that information, what we can add to this policy is the e-post report. We will give you the voters that have checked in, and then you'll also have the ballots counted, which is already on the statement of votes cast. But if you want to add the e-post report
As number 5?
as an addition to this, we can do the e-post report.
I think that's a good accommodation.
The addition of the e-post report in addition to the numbered voters list?
Yes. Yes. So scanner tapes is number 4. Let me make sure. And Director Williams,
Yes, ma'am.
let me make sure I understand this. So scanner tapes would be number 4 that would be initially seen, and then number 5 would be the e-post report. Okay. With those additions, are we ready to consider a motion? Member Heaton.
I'm not sure if we've determined the ballot canvas summary. Do I need to bring that up as a proposed amendment to this, or
I'm not understanding.
The ballot recap sheet, you mean?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the ballot recap sheet is on both, is on
It's already
the,
No,
form, second one down.
I'm not sure what ballot recap is. I'm talking about the ballot, the canvas summary. It's lifted right out of the Election Assistance Commission guidance.
Michael, on what we had written up earlier, it says ballot recap sheet, that's all it says. Then you have total recap. That's number 9. I'm not sure, what else you're asking for as far as the ballot recap sheet.
I'm asking, this was in my original proposed plan, certification plan. It was the last page, ballot canvas summary. It's also in the election assistance commission publication. They're identical, the two things. That was the last page of my proposal.
Let me ask to make sure that I understand this. Are you saying, and you're talking about for posting on the website, are you saying that the documents posted on the website are inclusive of this information? Of the information that the county already posts? Are you saying it does not include this information? That's what I'm asking you.
Okay, so, we're just talking. So yes, we can provide that ballot summary report. We can generate that report. We'll have to ask permission from the SOS if we're permitted to post that. But if we can't post it, we can provide it to the board. And if we're permitted to put it online, we will put it online.
I think that's all that can be done there, because it can be provided to us, and then they will ask. And so if we want to include in the policy that the Secretary of State will be asked whether our ballot summary, canvas summary can be placed on our website, and we can put the language in.
Thank you, Director Williams.
And if it can be put on, then it'll be put on. Is that?
So we're adding that.
We're going to say at the very end. So, Attorney Alexis, where?
I've got this electronically.
Attorney Alexis, where would we place this in our policy?
Are we talking
And
about
it's the language is just that that the board itself will receive the ballot canvas summary, but the secretary and the board will, the department will inquire in whether the Secretary of State will allow the board to post it also on the website. Because what Director Williams is saying is the Secretary of State determines what can be posted on the website. The department has no problem producing it to us, but it's a matter of can it be posted on the website, and we want it in the policy, so where would that be placed?
So do you want the policy to make mention of the inquiry that's required before posting? Is that what you're asking?
Well, it seems to me you're asking that it be received by the board.
Yes.
So the list of
So-
documents that the board receives are in 5A, 1, 2, and 3. You could add a 4,
Well,
require that we receive it, and if permitted, post it to the website.
So-
We added 4 for
Okay.
We've added 4 and 5. I think this goes more to the end, not in, because the first section talks about what we will see that Friday when we come in, what will be available. I think this is just kind of wrapping up what we will have posted for the public. The board will get it, but if the public can see it as well, and the Secretary of State approves it,
right,
then
so
that's what will be posted.
if it's related to the original tabulation, yes, it'll be in the first set of documents. If it's related to the precinct documents after the discovery of a discrepancy, then it will be listed in the second set of documents. If it's not related to either of those, we'll put it at the end because it would not be permitted as part of the canvassing and certification process.
I think it goes down to where we discuss what's going to go on the website, because we have in this policy what will be on the website, and what the issue is whether this will also be on the website.
And would you want to make the inquiry before we put that information on the policy in the event? No? Okay.
Members, Selby and Adam, I'm not sure if you just right out of the this is our version of the whole process.
If you look on, I'm speaking to Attorney Alexis, if you look on the last page before signatures, it says pursuant to Georgia Comp R and Regs 183-112-12E, the Department of Registration and Elections will post the reconciliation report on the Fulton County website upon submission to the Secretary of State no later than 30 days after the board certification. I'm thinking that that language as to what else will be posted goes here. Okay. Yes.
My only question is I want to make sure that Mr. Heaton is okay with all this since we worked so hard on it. Michael, you're okay with all this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for working on this with me.
Thank you.
And I commend the board. We've all worked together trying to get something initially in place, and I appreciate that from every member of the board.
Mhm. And with that, I'd like to make a motion to accept the pre-certification request form
With the amendments.
with the amendments. Yes, I'm sorry, with the amendments.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Well, thank you all very much. I'm going to shoot off here. I've got some meds to take. So, thank you for accommodating me on the Zoom call and moving the agenda around. But thank you all, and have a great Labor Day weekend.
Thanks, Terry.
Okay, you
Good
too, and I hope you feel better soon.
Thank you. Bye.
And Madam Chair, just for clarification, I'm going to send this out to the board and Ms. Williams.
Certainly, Mr. Deacon. Let's move to number 4, approval of the minutes. Any changes to any of the minutes or any amendments to the minutes? Or can we approve the minutes of special meeting July 15th, 2025? And if we're ready to approve them, I need to get a motion for approval.
I move to approve the minutes.
Are we doing them individually or the section?
I would approve all of them, but I would defer to other board members.
Okay, so the motion is to approve the minutes of July 15th, July 17th, July 18th, and July 21st. Can I get a second?
Oh, I second.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. It's unanimous. Monthly operations report, Director Williams.
Yes, we have forwarded operation report to the board, and we'll take any questions at this time.
We're not going to go around and,
We haven't done for a while. Is there any particular report you would like someone to discuss, Member Adams?
I just prefer when we go around and they tell us, but let me look through and I'll see if I have any questions.
Well, why don't you, while she's looking at that, give us a broad overview of the monthly operations for July and August in a nutshell, Director Williams. And then if you have something, gives you time.
Okay. Just, I would ask that Ms. Glenn, when we get to you, if you could tell us what the registration numbers are compared to last report. I'm sorry I didn't bring them. Thank you.
Ms. Glenn, why don't you? Are you ready, Director Williams? Okay, Director Williams will give us a broad overview. Then Ms. Glenn, Chief Glenn, if you'll go after that. And then Ms. Adams, if there's particular things, you can ask that as well, or if there's particular department that you want to hear from.
Can I ask a question real quick? Are we going over the July report? I don't know what report we're going over.
July and August.
Where is the August report?
Right. So it says that because of where we are is August 29th. And so we will be discussing some of the items from August, like the election and things of that nature. So that's why. Because we've had the election,
So, but what we're looking at right now is the July report.
Director Williams.
Okay, so for the administration division, they have made sure they process P-card reports, T-card reports for our travel, and process and intergovernmental agreements with the municipalities for the upcoming elections. For advanced voting, we conducted the Public Service Commission election, and we obviously did the Senate District 21 election and processed those voters and ensuring that all of our poll workers follow procedure. For election operations, they did the same for election day. They trained they trained poll workers, made sure we had all polling sites available. They're starting recruitment for November. For finance, we have been working on, of course, paying invoices and working on our 2026 election budget. When it's drafted, we will forward to the board for review.
Now, and I have a question there. Do we still have any 2024 that are still outstanding that we have not gotten the invoices for?
No, all of our 2024 invoices are paid.
Okay.
For information systems, of course, they conducted LNA, and they're currently getting ready for the runoff election. For registration, Ms. Glenn will give the report. We skip to supplies and logistics. They have ensured all of our equipment was delivered and retrieved. We are making some final adjustments to our advanced voting locations for November, so they're doing some site visits in regards to that. Voter education has been actively having voter recruitment fairs, and we also drafted letters. I sent it to the board in regards to concerns for third-party groups that are doing voter registration and absentee applications at college campuses, senior centers, and high schools.
And I'd like to ask more about that, but you can finish the report, because
Yes.
I'd like to ask more about what's happening.
Okay, yes,
Some
so
more
we did
specifics
send out
about that.
memorandums countywide to high schools, senior centers, senior residences, and college and universities regarding that matter. And I sent you all a copy of that. And did I miss anybody else? And I'll let Ms. Glenn do registration and absentee.
Okay. Chief Glenn? You need to turn your mic on.
Okay, good morning.
Good morning.
Madam Chair, members of the board, citizens. For registration for the month of July, the registration division's activities, primary activities for VR staff, we worked on scanning we're trying to get all of the voter registration applications forever scanned into Jarvis, so that anytime there's a need to see the original application or any of the applications or maintenance requests, we have that with the signatures of the voters. So that's an ongoing process. After the PSC election, we had about 40,000 applications and changes to complete in a 6-day time frame. The team, they were able to do that. They processed the applications and the changes because the State Senate District 21 race cutoff was July 28th. So now we're in a holding pattern again, and we're back up to about 18,000 that would need to be processed. So at the end of July, our active voters total was 756,177. Inactive was 162,652, and total voters was 918,829. After the purge from the Secretary of State's office, of course, those NGEs, which are they haven't voted in 2 election cycles, we lost 72,000 voters on that. And then we had the no contacts that we've had. We lost 29,000. I mean, they got moved to inactive, 29,000. So our new numbers, active voters, 750,632. And our inactive, 91,115. for a total, I'm sorry.
Do you mind repeating that?
Okay.
Sorry. Sorry.
We currently have active 750,632. Inactive 91,115. And for a total of 841,747.
Thank you.
Okay. Did you need to know how many applications we still have at the end of July? Because that's what the report says. Are you good? Or you have any other questions?
Ms. Glenn, of course, we're all aware of the Secretary of State's actions. How long has that been ongoing? It seems like there's been a big push fairly recently. Because I see our numbers have dropped
Yes.
over the last,
Well, they did it, I guess, because of the conversion from ENET to Jarvis. They
Okay.
kind of pushed it back
yes.
because it should happen more often.
Mhm.
We shouldn't have 100,000 to deal with at one time.
Yes.
But I think it's all caught up now
Okay.
after the purge and the move to the ones that have had no contact are now inactive and on their way to being canceled as well.
So we're all on Jarvis now. It's all Jarvis.
Everything is Jarvis.
Okay. Is it okay? Is it working okay?
It's awesome.
Great. Thanks. That's good news.
From the purge from the Secretary of State, does that require you guys to go in and take all those out, or how does that work?
The only thing that we're required, if someone, because all of these people received a confirmation notice. So if they didn't return it, if they return it to us, then yes, we have to process it and say, this person says they shouldn't be taken off. They really want to stay on as Fulton County voters. And they prove that by their address. But if they didn't return their notice that was mailed to them, then the Secretary of State deleted them or canceled them.
I was going to really give you kudos if you had to manually do
No,
all
we
of
did
it.
not. We did not. Thank goodness.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you. I'll take all the credit.
Yes, great job, Ms. Smith. The question I have, Director Williams, is if you could explain more to the board. We did see the letters as to, that you sent out to the senior citizen centers, to colleges, and to high schools. But could you give us a little more information as to what you found happening? And thank you for doing that countywide, because we certainly want, if someone is registering to vote, they want to make sure that they are able to vote and that it is done according to the law. So can you tell us what has been happening?
Yes, so we had received feedback from stakeholders and from students. It started at Georgia Tech. During the 2024 election, a lot of students came to vote at that outreach location, and they thought they were registered to vote because third-party groups had come on their campus and registered them. But when they showed up to the poll, they were not registered to vote. So we saw a trend that was happening at Georgia Tech. We reached out to Georgia Tech and informed them, and we decided not to just reach out to Georgia Tech. We did it to all universities and said, when third-party groups come onto your campus, we would like for you to call our office to verify them, because we're seeing a trend of students that somebody shows up on campus, takes these students' information, and then does not turn in a registration application. Hopefully they're not stealing their identity or anything of that nature, but it was a pattern that we were seeing at Georgia Tech, so we reached out to all colleges and universities in Fulton and said to, third-party groups, contact you to do voter registration drives. We would like you all to coordinate with our team. We also gave them posters so they could put up on campus, giving students information, and pretty much telling students that the most secure way to register to vote is directly through our office or on the Secretary of State's website compared to third-party groups.
Now, did you see the same thing with senior citizen
Yes.
centers?
So we did, once we started doing some research, we saw the same thing with senior citizens who had done an absentee by mail application, that these people came to a senior center or a senior residence, got their information, and their application never got turned in. So we did the same thing, sent out a letter, letting them know to be vigilant. Also created a poster with our student affairs department to give to the senior centers and ask them if they want to have drives to coordinate with us. And again, the most secure way to get the application is either on their secretary's website or through our office. And then lastly, the high schools. Same thing. We had several students that showed up to the polls, thought they were registered to vote because these drives came to their schools, got their information, never turned it in. So we sent out a letter to the Fulton County School System, Atlanta Public Schools, and directly to the principals of high school saying, and posters as well to say, coordinate with our office so we can make sure that students are secure and they have that information. And the poster even says to students, if you're about to go off to college, also check our website for additional information regarding, when you become a college student, et cetera.
Here's, and I presume that people from the department are willing, you're willing to have the department go out and run these
Yes.
drives as well.
So all the letters advise them to contact their voter education team, which would be more than happy to go out to senior centers, senior residents, high schools, colleges to do drives, deputize people, things of that nature. We'll give them posters, give them correct materials, et cetera.
And I've already told a couple of high schools that Fulton County would be glad to come to do that work.
Yes, we'll even bring our buses.
Okay. Member Adams.
It's great that you did this, by the way. Thank you for jumping on this. Did you send any notices to the NGOs that were registering college kids and people?
We don't know who these third-party groups were, so I can't. That's what you're asking me. So I don't know. We don't know where the source is. So we're just saying that any group calls them to call us, and we'll be more than happy to work with that third-party group, or at least make sure that information gets submitted. Because if they come to their campus, they're most likely going to have to give us the application, and if we're not receiving them, we cannot assist anyone.
Right.
So you just went directly to the facilities themselves
Yes.
and say, we're willing to do this, and if you do have a third-party group, then that coordinate because we want to make sure.
Correct, because there was actually an incident where our voter education team witnessed a person on Georgia Tech campus who was just a random person who set up a table and was giving out information, and nobody knows what she did with those applications.
And that shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Yes, of course.
So, it's kind of crazy how this works, but I wanted to ask, are you also informing the schools and the senior citizens? I think you said you had them posting some information on this. If, like, a college student in the colleges, do they have information too, telling them if they're registered somewhere else, they need to write in and cancel that registration?
Yes, so the posters also give them the My Voter Page website. They give them links to our website to say if you're registered in Georgia, because it could be an out-of-state student. If you're registered in Georgia, here's the MVP page. You can call our office, or if you're out of state, go ahead and contact your local county to confirm your information. That's what the poster reads for the college students.
So the local information from where they, like, I'm just talking about people that were already registered, like somebody goes to Georgia Tech and wants to vote there and they live in Compton.
Right, so it's all of them say to go to MVP. So whether you're a college student, senior citizen, or high school student, if you go to that My Voter page, you can look up your information and see if you can confirm everything. And all of our flyers for everything always tells voters to please double check your information before you head to the polls. Just look yourself up, make sure everything's correct before you head out.
Right. Thank you.
Anything further, anyone? Okay.
On
Member
any of-
Selby.
On any of what was presented, right?
On any of
Yeah.
what is presented.
Just curious about your budget. I noticed the finance summary that you had the budget for the various elections and that you're adjusting the budget for the special election. I assume your department has enough resources. How does that process work? Do you do budget adjustment requests? Or?
We do. So, for instance, for this particular year, the Senate District 21 election was not on our calendar. It was a special called election, so we do need to go before the Board of Commissioners, not to ask for extra money, but for instance, we have to ask for extra spending authority for our temp contract because we had to make those 2 advanced voting locations, so we'll need to have funds to make sure we pay those poll workers. But as far as the election as a whole, the election budget as a whole, like right now we're working on the 2026 election. We have been asked by the county manager to trim down her budget as much as possible. So we have been working on that for the past few weeks. We met with each division individually to make sure that they have not over asking or under asking for 2026. Once we finish doing that, we will send it to the board that you all can review it. But it will be broken down by division, so you'll see exactly what we plan to do. So our goal is to still have, because we believe 2026 will be still high voter turnout, still plan to go with the 37 locations. We did not want to sacrifice that. So we decided to trim from other areas to make sure we can still put the services out for voters. But that will have to go before the Board of Commissioners for approval, what the process is, as for before them.
Any further questions from the board? All right, now if there's nothing further under number 5, we'll move to new business, the Gabrielle Conference update.
So the Gabrielle Conference was one of the best ones they've had in a long time. It was very informative. They did a great job with having round tables, so we had great conversations with other counties in regards to, doing scenarios and feedbacks of different situations in elections. We were able to take our entire team. Some of them sacrificed and stayed behind because of the Senate 21 election, which was right in the midst of that. But because it was a small election, we were able to still have staff attend. But again, I would recommend that the board attends those conferences in the future because they are informative. And they do get you to, the best part about that is talking with other counties and sharing information. And also the vendors are also, to see what other election sources are out there, it's also very beneficial to see the vendors that are at that event.
I personally attended virtually at the conference, and I could see members of the department online and would text and say, okay, I see you walking by, whatever. But I attended it virtually, and I would recommend that the board, Athens is closer than Savannah. I wasn't able to go to Savannah, but I would recommend that the board try to go, as many of us that can, in March to Athens to the conference, because in that case, we might be able to come back and forth, but I just couldn't travel to Savannah because of my caseload. But it was a great conference. It was my first time. You got to hear from the Secretary of State's office, from the State Election Board, just from a lot of people. There were best practices, training, all kinds of things that went on, and I found it invaluable. And so I plan to attend the next one, and I would encourage us all to do so. Any questions? Election preparation update, turning to number 7 of new business. We have a runoff on September 23rd.
Yes, we have a runoff on September 23rd. We plan to put before the board the advanced voting locations at the next meeting for approval for the dates and hours. We plan to match. I got an email from Ms. Crawford recommending that we match Cherokee County's hours as well. So we're the only 2 counties having an election at this time. So we plan to put that before you all for approval. Outside of that, we feel we're prepared for the runoff. It's a small election for us, but it's important nevertheless. But we'll have everything ready to roll.
And our next meeting is, let's see, because it's going to be right
It'll
before.
be Tuesday. Unless you want to.
Is that when you're putting it before us? Well, no, Tuesday is fine.
Okay.
Okay. I was just making sure we weren't talking about next month, the second Thursday. Okay. The PSC General Municipal and Special Election November 4th.
Yes. So for that election, we have already received the intergovernmental agreements from all of the municipalities. They all had a timeline of what information we need from them. They've all completed qualifying, sent the documentations over to our qualifying officers. So right now, the ballot's getting built, more or less. And we are going to finalize the advanced voting locations as well. We want to actually put that before you all on Tuesday as well, so we can start preparing recruitment and everything for those locations. And we may have a few polling location changes. I'll follow up on that. But we'll have at least the 80 sites in front of you, because that's, of course, we'll have to get them first so we can move forward.
And you're saying we'll have that on the second?
That is our plan. We have one location that we have, because of the camera issue, we had a drop box at the Hugh Connolly. If we put a drop box there, it's not our facility. So now, because of that rule that you have to have a camera, we might have to relocate to a county facility so that we can have a drop box. So we're looking into a different location.
Okay.
But it should be the same locations we had in June is our goal. It might be that just that one change.
Okay. Any questions from any members? Okay, thank you, Director Williams. We have reviewed election materials, but we have executive session today to go over litigation. And litigation, I believe it's we have our SEB attorney here who's going to brief us regarding that in executive session. So can we get a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we'll go into executive session and then we'll come back.
I'd like to make a motion that we resume the meeting.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We're resuming the meeting. We now turn to item number 8, review of election materials. This is our pre-certification meeting. So we will start to review election materials, and we don't adjourn until we're at the end of what we review today. Mr. Heakin, are you?
I was talking, I was
Well-
signaling to Julie Adams. Yeah,
Well, you sure? If there's something you want to say, we're.
no,
Come on.
no, I'm good, thank you. Thanks.
Yes, you certainly can, Ms. Ennis.
I would really like to thank Michael Deacon for pushing the canvas.
The C word.
The canvas thing. And Terry Crawford for working with him on that, even though she's not here. Give her a shout out, but a huge shout out to Mike because he really pushed it.
I agree with you. Yeoman's work. I think, was it January or so you started the push?
I was talking about it in January, but I think this has really been a good team effort.
I do too.
Across the board, and thank you.
And I'd like I said before, I'd like to thank everybody because we've all had to work on it, put our input into it, and he's kept up the steam going for it. And I'm glad that we we finally achieved getting to a policy, and I look forward to working with you all more on things like this on a bipartisan level. Thank you. Thank you. We're not adjourning, but we're going to start to review election material. Okay, we're getting ready to, we're continuing with the pre-certification process, but we are going to adjourn at this time. We're going to, and all of the members who want to stay to continue with pre-certification can do that until 5 o'clock. And then we will meet back here at 3 o'clock on Tuesday for certification. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Madam Chair, I move to that we adjourn the meeting.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The meeting is adjourned, and we'll reconvene on Tuesday at 3 o'clock. Thank you.